Another edition of Talking Preps. The playoffs have started. Is everybody excited for the playoffs?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Definitely excited. Well, I know we got one young lady who's especially excited for the playoffs. Maya Star from Cannon School. You guys are trying to win 2 out of 3. Tell me about the mission.
There really is no mission. We just want to win. It's just the grit and the doggedness that we just want to win. So every game, we just look forward to the next game. We don't really look at the championships. We just look at the next game. And when we get there, we know what we have to do.
Did last year leave a bad taste in your mouth?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Tell everybody what happened last year.
Man, I don't even know what to say, really. It's just like something, just like our energy wasn't up, so it's like a domino effect. One person's going low, we try to keep their head up and stuff, but if they're down, the whole team starts going down, and then our energy's low. And North Raleigh Christian kind of got a run on us, but we kept fighting to get back, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah. To those who don't know, Cannon got to the state finals last year. Randall, what do you think about this young lady? What you got to ask her today? You got to come off mute, though, partner.
She's a wonderful player. I enjoy watching her play. She has a great personality, and what she said about the grit and being a dog, like that's what her and her backcourt mate Lily Booker really show. And they have been on a mission all season long, and I think that there were some question marks early, and they've checked every single box this season.
All right. Well, Samaya, you have made Randall's big list for the final 8 candidates for North Carolina Men's Basketball Player of the Year. Do you recognize any of those young ladies? If so, how good are they?
Oh yeah, of course. I recognize a few. You want me to list them?
Now just tell me who you know and how good they are.
I mean, all these girls, I played against all of them. They're really good. Blanca Thomas, my little buddy, giant. She's a giant.
We call her Shaq.
I played against her in the UA, with FBC and Team Curry. Yeah, and of course Sarah Strong. Yeah. I don't even have words for Sarah. She's just Sarah.
Did Randall miss anybody?
Not that I know. I mean, this list looks good.
Thank you, Samaya. I appreciate that. There we go. I don't get a lot of credit around here. So when somebody, especially of your status, gives me credit, I truly appreciate it.
Oh.
All right. Well, Randall, tell us a little bit about Kristen and Blanca, and then we'll toss to Chelsea for how you say her name, Chelsea? Zamaria?
Zamaria.
Okay. Go ahead, Randall. First 2, then we'll go to Chelsea.
I mean, the first 2, Kirsten Lewis, we've talked about, I feel like every week on this show. She's done a tremendous job. She's the engine for Lake Norman, does it on both ends of the floor, has just been a phenomenal leader. Blanca Thomas, Catholic played their first game this afternoon versus Rocky River in the playoffs. They moved on and advanced. She's been terrific, averaging, 15 points and 10 rebounds and 5 blocks, and really going to have a big close to the season if they're going to, go where they want to go.
All right. Chelsea, tell us about Ms. Jones, who's getting double teamed every time she steps on the court.
I mean, there's a reason she's double teamed. She can score anywhere. She's an absolutely amazing ball handler. And if I'm not mistaken, I think North Pitt is undefeated in the conference, and she is absolutely a key piece to that. So I know she's on a lot of coaches' radars.
Yeah, she did a 360 layup a couple weeks ago in the game. I was like, wow, it's like a little Maya Moore out there. And then Sarah Strong, we've talked about, is Samaya mentioned, just a dominant inside player. She's giving everybody in North Carolina the business. And Randall, she has a very well-known mom.
She does. Her mom, played at NC State and now works for the Boston Celtics in their front office.
Name of?
I don't. Yeah, I'm leaving that one alone.
One of the best players in South Carolina history. And then Kylie Chambers, Pernell Sweat. We talked a lot about Jasmine Felton. Samaya is obviously on the show. And Jada Angel, was that the young lady you showed me that had a gazillion stats the other day?
Yeah. She's down in Cape Fear. numbers, astronomical numbers, averaging 30 points a game and like 8 assists and like 8 steals. She's really having a phenomenal year down there.
Just the same. Samaya, which one of these players do you want to face the least?
Man, I'm up for a challenge.
I feel you.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Coach Brooks is getting him something special next year. I'm excited.
I like that. All right. Well, Samaya, while we got you, we're gonna have Randall run through these brackets we're gonna start out with the smaller ones. We're gonna have Randall run through these brackets real quick. Randall, anything in the 1A that you see that could be surprising before we kind of get to the quarters later on in the week?
No, I think everything, is in 1A probably stands.
Kind of chalk.
Yeah, everything I think in 1A is chalk.
All right, nothing down below. You like Victory Christian, the North Side?
I like Victory. Yeah, I like Victory. I like Victory Christian. I think I've seen them a couple times this year. I think that I'm expecting them to make it all the way, and it should be a good game. I think with them in Crossroads.
Okay. And then we're going to look at the 2A real quick. There's so many schools in like 2 pages, but that's the top half of the 2A. Davidson Day, which has been a powerhouse for a long time, 6-11 this year. Don't see too many Charlotte area schools like they're going to make a move. Wayne Country Day looks like a heavyweight up there at 20.
Yeah, I don't see how they don't win it.
And nobody else in their bracket has more 9 wins.
Nah, I don't. Wayne Country Day.
10. And then the bottom half, I guess, Greenville School and St. Thomas More, maybe, but they got to play each other.
Yeah, but I think I'm expecting Wayne to take this one in a runaway.
Runaway, all right. And am I to the 3A yet? Was that, yeah.
No,
that's still two. A lot of 2A schools. Well, there's the O'Neill School down there at 20.
Yeah. I did forget about them.
They may make a run. There's a lot of 2A schools and private schools. I mean, Hickory. What do you think though, Chelsea, about it?
Never mind. I'm so sorry.
Sarah Grace Christian down there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot Sarah was. Yeah, I was thinking they were 3A.
Yeah, Chelsea 2-14. Should you make the playoffs? Should you make the playoffs at 2-14?
Hickory Christian's 2-14, and they're in the playoffs.
I think Chelsea's on mute.
Can y'all hear me?
Now we can.
I said, what do you think of a 2-14 team in the playoffs? You think that should happen, or we should just kind of skip to the next round?
I say skip to the next round. I mean, I think the record speaks for itself.
Yeah, it might be letting too many teams in the playoffs. 3A, we got 3-19 South Lake Christian also in the playoffs, but 3A Concord Academy, it looks really strong, number 1 seed. Yeah. Asheville Christian got a double bye at 8-13. I mean, could maybe we combine, Randall, some of these lower classifications like the public schools do, and they have like a 1A/2A?
We probably should. But it's a lot of teams in 2A though.
Yeah, but look at the records here. But you could
I see it. Yeah.
9-19, 7-11, 8-13 got a double bye.
Yeah.
That's 4-15. That's a lot here. That 5-17. There's a lot. I mean, it's almost like that every team got an invitation.
Yeah.
But Samaya, we're going to get down to you guys in the 4A. We're going to look at the top half and look at your draw. Going to play the winner of Ravenscroft and Country Day. Have you played those teams? I know you played Country Day. Have you played Ravenscroft this year?
I keep getting Ravenscroft and
Raven Gap confused.
Yeah, Ravenscroft is Raleigh. Raven Gap is Georgia.
See, I keep getting those teams mixed up. We played one of them last year.
Okay.
But I don't even remember. But I think it's Ravenscroft. They have a center. She's like a big girl.
Okay.
That's what I've heard, but nothing else really.
How's it feel to have home court rather until the championship?
I mean, it feels good, but I'm ready to play. Yeah.
Does anything jump out you at the lower half of your bracket down there? Any of those teams you think could get, could come out and potentially play you guys maybe in the quarterfinal or semifinal?
I mean, I'm looking at North Raleigh Christian.
She wants a little get back.
One little get back for last year's six. All right, look at the bottom half here, Randall. Latin looks pretty good. They got to go up to Raven Gap round 3. Looks like Providence Day might have a road to at least the semifinals. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Raven.
Go ahead, Samaya.
My bad.
Go ahead, Samaya.
Go ahead. What you got?
Your guess. Go ahead.
I was just saying, do you know anything about Durham Academy? I don't think I've
I don't know anything about it. Alex, do you know anything about Durham Academy?
Yes, just part of that Triangle Independent Schools Athletics Conference with Ravenscroft and North Raleigh Christian, where parity has taken on a new form this year, given the graduation of North Raleigh Christians, Imani Lester, and several others. It's a parity field conference. And on paper, Cannon and Providence Day should be in good shape.
I'm going to say Cannon and Providence Day are going to play again. This will be like the 75th time you guys played this year. But that's my prediction.
Yeah.
Well, we know how the first two rounds of that matchup went, don't we, Samaya?
Yes, we do.
Hey.
All right. So Samaya, before we let you
hold
go,
on. Let me do mine first.
Oh, go ahead.
Samaya, I really like you. You make me laugh. You're a great player, and I just want to go ahead and apologize before we even get started for what's about to happen.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, should I be scared?
No, you're fine. It's a multiple choice thing. You're gonna go first.
Y'all put me on the spot.
Oh yeah. We gotta put you on the spot. It's called a game show. I'm contractually obligated. I can't talk today. To play Randall's little theme music, and we'll get started on the backside.
Not the theme music.
I'm Randall Clark. I am not Sam Griner. You will not beat me on the game show.
Chelsea.
Aaliyah Boston could repeat as National Player of the Year like her coach, Don Stanley, once did. Among these all-time greats, which one did not repeat as National Player of the Year? A. Maya Moore, B. Candace Parker, C. Breonna Stewart, or D. Brittany Griner?
I don't like that body language, Samaya, but it's on you.
Man, oh gosh, this is bad. This is really bad. Anybody want to give me a hint?
No, you gotta answer.
Bruh, oh my gosh. Can I come back?
No.
Samaya, there's no pressure. Nobody's beating me this year. You're good. Nobody's beating me this year.
No pressure.
Because no one's beating me. So you have nothing to lose.
Which one did not repeat?
Yep.
I want to say Brittany Griner.
Brittany Griner. All right. Randall, what you got?
I got D. Brittany Griner as well.
The answer is A. Maya Moore. Maya Moore won in 2009, 2011, but in between was Tina Charles. Maya Moore is the greatest female basketball player, in my opinion, of all time. Randall knows this. We've had this discussion.
Yes.
All right. Hold on. I got it. Oh, this is a good question. My son gave me this question. All right, Alex, go ahead.
Nearly 21 years ago, this non-conference showdown drew 29,619 fans, a record for a regular season women's game. Which two teams played in it? A, UConn and Oklahoma. B, Baylor and LSU. C, Tennessee and UConn. D, Duke and Kentucky.
Randall, what you got?
21 years ago. I'm going to go with Courtney Parrish. A, UConn and Oklahoma.
Okay. Maya, what you got? I mean, Samaya, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Maya more.
Right. I'm stuck on UConn. I think it's A or C.
Which one?
I want to say C.
C, UConn. The answer is A. UConn beat Oklahoma 82-70 in March of that year of 2002 at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. I thought for sure Randall's going to say C.
I know. You always try to trick me, so I knew you was going to think I was going to. That's exactly why I went A.
I thought for sure you would say UConn and Tennessee. All right, so you're down, Samaya, by one, so you got to make a rally here. You got three more questions, and I know you're going to get this question right. All right, go ahead, Chelsea.
Everybody saw Rihanna perform a medley of hits at the Super Bowl Sunday. What was the name of her first #1 single in 2006? A, Pondy Replay, B, SOS, C, Umbrella, or D, Only Girl in the World?
Samaya, the body language, sweetie. Come on.
You thought I was going to get this right?
Yes. It's Riri.
I knew we was going to have a Rihanna question after last night.
Absolutely. Rihanna's my favorite it girl.
We know.
Okay. My son converted last night too. What you got, somebody?
I'm gonna go with C again.
Umbrella. Randall, what you got?
Pawn to Replay.
Pawn to Replay is not it. I knew you would guess that. The answer is SOS. SOS came out in 2006. Pawn to Replay came out in 2005. Got to number 2. I knew that without even looking.
No.
I do that without even looking. That's crazy.
I like Rihanna. Y'all like Beyonce. I like Rihanna. It's my, let me find the next question. And it's on Alex.
The Houston Comets won the first 4 WNBA titles from 1997 to 2000. Only one team has repeated as champion since. Name it. A, the Seattle Storm. B, the Minnesota Lynx. C, the Phoenix Mercury. D, the Los Angeles Sparks.
Randall, what you got?
Wow, this is actually a tough one.
I didn't create this one.
All these teams have been actually really good.
That's correct.
And my girl won a lot of chips with them, so I'm gonna go with A, the Seattle Storm.
All right, what you got, Samaya?
I want to say A as well.
Final answer?
Yes.
Okay. The answer is D, Los Angeles Sparks.
Dang.
Mr. Leslie led the Sparks to 2001, 2002 after Cynthia Cooper four-peated.
This is bad.
All right, you got one question left to tie him.
All right. One question.
All right. Now, you should definitely 1,000% get this question right. Let's go, Chelsea.
SZA's latest hit, Kill Bill, shares the same name
Look at her face.
of a once famous movie. The video pays homage to the film as well. Name the star of the movie. A, Jennifer Lawrence. B, Jamie Foxx. C, Uma Thurman. Or D, Will Smith.
Come on, Samaya.
No.
Come on, Samaya. You seen the video. The video should give you a hint. Now, you seen the video. The video should give you a hint.
The video? What video?
You haven't seen the video to Kill Bill?
No, I haven't seen the music video.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, I can't help you. I can't give you a clue, and I can't help you.
Okay. Do I have to answer first?
Yes.
Yes, you got to go first. This is the last question.
Last question.
All right.
Fourth quarter game, 2 seconds left. You at the free throw line, down by 1.
Stop. Okay, I'm going to say. Dang, I don't want to sound stupid, though. Oh, this is bad. Oh,
it's live TV. It's live TV. C. All right, what you got, Randall?
Dang, I was going to see Uma Thurman too.
That's your answer?
Yep.
That's the right answer.
I'm still losing.
Yeah, you still lost. You still lost. It's okay, though.
You lost by 1.
One question.
You lost by 1, but look, man, it was fun having you on. You've been the best guest all year, so it's fun having you on. Good luck to you guys. Hopefully we'll have you back after you win the state title and have you break down some of these public school games, since you can break down these games and players so well. How about that?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, Samaya, take care of yourself.
Good luck the rest of the way, Samaya.
So do I just leave or?
I got you. That was a good call, Randall.
Hey man, these questions have been getting a lot more ridiculous than normal. You really want me to lose? Like the fixes definitely is.
You sound like grinding now. All right, it's time to find. Oh, not time to find out. Sammy interviewed Rock Hill. I'm lost. Sammy interviewed Rock Hill Northwestern's Mason Mitchell. Mason had a knee injury last year. He's the son of Christy Mitchell, who's been a guest host on the show for many years. Mason had a knee injury last year. He's come back. Yeah, towards ACL, having a big year down in Rock Hill. And Sammy got a chance to talk to him. This is Sammy's best interview ever. So this is going to be – so, Chelsea, I know you're leaving while the interview's rolling. But watch – before you leave, watch this because it's really good. All right, here's Sammy.
Hi, welcome back to another interview on 5 Minutes with Sammy. Today we have Mason Mitchell. Mason, can you introduce yourself for us?
My name is Mason Mitchell. I'm 17 years old. I'm a junior at Northwestern High School, and I play combo guard.
So Northwestern High has an 11-12 overall winning record this season. That's really nice. Can you tell me more about it?
For sure. Our season's definitely been up and down for the most part. For me, just coming back from an ACL injury just impacts me physically, but more mentally. It's been kind of hard for me to get into the rhythm that I wanted to be in. But past couple of weeks, got some really good team wins, and everybody's improving.
I'm really sorry to hear about your injury, but I'm really glad you're feeling better and back into the game. Is basketball a career choice for you, or is it just a high school hobby?
Basketball is definitely a career choice for me. Having both parents play college basketball, they've been there for me. And just one step at a time, I'm trying to get to college as well.
That must be really nice, having both your parents there for you, helping you through the season and everything.
Yeah, can I ask you a question as well?
Yeah, go for it.
What's your hot take?
Oh, my hot take. I think my hot take is Taylor Swift is the best artist there is. I think so. Can you tell? I have her up on my TV, just like always listen to her.
Pretty overrated to me. That's just me. I don't know.
What's yours?
LeBron's the GOAT, definitely.
You know what? I agree with that. That's a pretty good one. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite artist? Since you literally dissed me for Taylor Swift.
My favorite artist, I would probably say J. Cole.
You know what? I can't even get back at you for that. J. Cole is such a go. He's such a good artist. So
Especially
good.
since he's from Charlotte too.
Yeah, that's definitely a win. I'm from Charlotte, so.
Yeah.
Do you normally listen to J. Cole all the time, before your games and stuff?
Yeah, I would say most of my music is J. Cole. And, before games, he's definitely a person I listen to.
Yeah. Some of his songs are so hype. They always, motivate me. I do so much better listening to them.
Exactly.
Anyways, thank you so much, Mason, for coming on a 5 Minutes with Sammy and for your time. I had a really good talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Told you, Sammy's getting really good. That's pretty cool. Well, Chelsea, we're going to see you next week. Thanks for coming on. And hopefully we'll get your interview next week with the Puerto Rican man.
Yeah, I'll see y'all next week.
All right, take care. All right, that's Miss Chelsea. It's time for the rundown, guys. Let's get right into it. We had a fight in the Greenville area, right, Alex? A pretty big fight last Tuesday.
Outside of Greenville, yes, sir.
Right outside of Greenville. Then we had a near fight at Myers Park on Friday. And just, Alex, I want to get your thoughts about, what we're seeing in high school these days and what it could mean if these things continue to happen.
Implement the Gaston County Schools policy across the board. Either you have a parent with you at the game or you don't come. Next.
Randall.
Stop. We need to stop shaking hands. This Friday night could have been avoided. Just stop shaking hands.
We're about to see it right here. There it is, right there.
When COVID, yeah, it could have been completely avoided. As a coach, you shouldn't be acting like that under any circumstances. But if you play a highly contested game and emotions are high, this seems to be a common theme this year with close games. If the game's close and highly contested, I get it. We just do away. During COVID, everybody was waving hands, saying "good game" that way. Say "good game" that way. I'll go to my locker room. You go to your locker room. There's no problems.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That flies
Why?
in the face.
Why? What? Tell me one positive thing that happens from us shaking hands.
It flies in the face of education-based athletics. That
has nothing to do with it. If I tell you, me telling you good game and beating you by 50 or losing by 2, it has nothing to do with that.
Is a coach who could not behave, and that's
I completely agree. I'm not defending him at all. But in order to stop things like this from happening, maybe we just tell them good game, and we'll go to our locker room, and you go to yours.
No, you stop it from happening by expecting more of your so-called educator coaches. That is a matter for the athletic director and the principal to address. That's not a basic function of sportsmanship. And if your role models, your supposed role models for the school and representatives of the school cannot set a better example for student athletes than that, then that is to be addressed by the
My
athletic
point is,
director.
there's no positive thing from us shaking hands. There's nothing positive that comes from us shaking hands. There's no
Yes,
benefit. What?
Hold
What's
on,
the
guys.
benefit?
Hold
What's
on,
the
guys.
benefit?
Hold on, guys. I can see both sides of the coin. I do think that in today's days and times, maybe it would not be a bad idea not to shake hands. I've seen football games and the coaches say we're not going to shake hands to prevent these kind of things from happening. Sam Griner talks about it all the time. We have these discussions in football. I want to hear from Gary and Rick. Let's start with Rick. Rick, what are your thoughts on what happened in Myers Park? The video you just saw from the Greenville area, and just what you know in general about these types of things that happen in high school sports.
It seems like it's happening way too much, and I think it's sort of the culture that we live in. It's sort of a trickle-down effect, what you see in the NBA, and so many people just emulate what they see on TV. But I think it's a bigger issue than just sportsmanship. I agree with Alex. I don't think we should do away with it because I think sportsmanship is part of the game. I think we do have a severe mental health crisis in this country that was due to COVID. And, we got to reintroduce the rules at the beginning of the year in sportsmanship to like you said, the educators who were coaching the game of basketball.
Yeah, I think Jeff Bishop is a really good coach at Olympic. I mean, I've coached against him in AAU, and I know how well prepared. I know how difficult it is to beat him. And the job he's doing with this Olympic team is phenomenal. And Rick's going to talk about that later on. But, slapping the coach's hand away, I don't think was the right thing. And I don't know what was said to him. I'm not saying that was the thing that started it. I don't know if there was some conversation during the game right before then. But kids react when coaches react. Am I right, Gary?
Exactly. The coach is the role model. That coach got to be suspended minimum.
This will be the second time he's been suspended this year.
He was suspended earlier. Yeah, he was suspended earlier. Okay. Gary, and when you see this thing in Greenville right now, what do you think when you see that?
Outside of Greenville.
Outside of Greenville, I'm sorry.
Pitt County Schools friends happy.
I don't know how this particular thing started, but I think at the beginning of the season, you have to train your team about how to react in various situations. You need to show them videos. You need to train them. You need to set up scenarios. You just have to practice going through these things. 20 years ago, we used to practice how we're going to line up for the national anthem, how we were going to act at the award ceremony and things like that. But now I think you have to practice, what's going on now in a situation where it gets volatile with the crowd.
Gary, if you're coaching the game, this game was very heated. And at the end of the game, there was a lot of emotion on both sides. The Myers Park people were celebrating vociferously, and the Olympic kids were really upset because they lost a close game. In that situation, when it's heated, is it a good idea to coaches just to say, we'll shake hands and send the kids back to the locker room?
It's a good idea, but it sends the wrong message. I understand what Alex is saying about sportsmanship, but to make sure cooler heads
This could have been really ugly.
Yeah, to make sure cooler heads prevail.
I mean, that police officer get a lot of kudos right there because this really could have gotten out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, if one of those kids takes a swing, just one, or a fan, anybody, I mean, it could have got – and my photographer got knocked completely off his feet. The guy who took this, he got knocked down. If you look at this video, you see that man gets knocked down as well. I mean, and then he gets jumped on. I mean, it's
the coaching staff, though, they got to be the last to initiate some brawl like this from taking place. I mean, this is the first time I've seen either video, and it's the times we live in.
Yeah, Alex, Cam, you get the last word here.
Yeah, I mean, in no way am I going to condone Coach Bishop's, slapping the hand away. But, at the same time, I see, the coaches from Myers Park start to appear to buck up to the students. These kids are, like I said, they're kids. They're minors. You're grown adults. You should not be doing this. I think that's very uncalled for. The assistant sitting there getting up in the student athletes' faces, no, that's not.
But where a lot of this starts, and we had this discussion during
social media
season. It starts on Twitter with the coaches nowadays.
Yep.
I don't know if it's going on in basketball.
No, it most definitely is going on in basketball. It's definitely going on in basketball.
Well, don't you think the school system should have a social media policy for coaches and players?
They do. They do. You're not supposed to engage in this type of stuff. You're not supposed to. I mean, they told the school-based accounts to basically just report the scores and how we did, and not discuss other teams. That was in football season. I don't know, how it's doing about if the policy was expanded to basketball.
Apparently, it's not being enforced too well.
Yeah, but there's a lot of chatter before and after that Mars Park game for sure. A lot after. There was a reference to a funeral by one coach that I didn't really understand. All right, conference tournaments are here. Cam, come to you first. Is anybody excited about conference tournaments till Friday we get to the championship game?
I mean, I am. I mean, I just like basketball, but I mean, from the fans' perspective, probably not, because I mean, there are probably going to be some, blowouts unless it's like the 4 or 5 matchups and stuff like that. But I mean, at least I'm excited for tonight's games and tomorrow's games.
Rick, what do you think?
I think there could be some interesting semifinal games in each of the conferences, because there's a lot of balance there. But, the excitement is going to turn all the way to Friday night when you have the 2 top teams in the conference more likely playing each other.
So if we're just going to always have the 2 top teams in the conference,
no.
90% of the time, Gary, is it worth having a conference tournament?
Here we go.
No. I'm gonna tell you, on the girls' end, there's no need to go to any games until Friday night. And I hate to say that, but there's no competition between the 2 highest seeds of each girls' conference and the lower seeds. There's no competition.
Randall, who's going to beat Mars Park or South Macon and Southwestern? I know you disagree with me. Who's going to beat them?
I mean, I think you have to go.
Don't go. Answer
no, nobody. I agree with Gary. What Gary just said is 100% right. On the girls' side, absolutely. Like, I get it. I have no argument for that. But all I know is on the boys' side in the Southwestern 4A, things will get very, very interesting Thursday night.
All right.
But here's my question.
Yeah.
Is it going to affect playoff seedings?
No.
And I don't see any of it, boys or girls,
no,
affecting playoff seedings.
I've only seen that happen like once or twice the whole time I've been here, where a team comes out and earns that number 2 seed. It's very, very rare. Alex says, may he comment, please? I'm scared, but go ahead, Alex.
I'm looking forward Tuesday night to being in Cameron Indoor Stadium. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to eat dinner before the game. And I'm looking forward Wednesday night to being at Williams Arena at Minges Coliseum at East Carolina University and trying to figure out where I'm going to eat dinner before the game there. I'm looking forward to watching Trey Wirtz play tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to watching Odio Guama play on Wednesday night. Does that tell you what I think about conference?
I was going to say you didn't mention anything about high school in any of that. Cameron, Duke got a bad call Saturday, and the Super Bowl had a controversial call at the end of the game. How often does this happen in high school? What can we do about it?
I think it happens a fair amount in high school. What can we do about it? There's such a shortage of refs, so you really don't want to irritate referees any more than what we already seem to do. But at the same time, they need to be held accountable. I mean, when you make a bad call like Duke got on Saturday, I mean, I know that's at the collegiate level. There's got to be some kind of accountability because, I mean, the conference came out within hours saying that their referees messed up and it cost a team the game. Yeah, we do see it at the high school level, but I don't know what there is that we can really do per se, though.
Richard.
I think you're going to find referees are going to make mistakes, and they're human, and you're always going to have mistakes that will determine the outcome of a game. It's going to happen, and there's very few things that you can do about it.
Yeah. All right. So now Gary called me this morning or texted me this morning and wanted to name the Charlotte Mecklenburg schools and area players of the year. And I told him, okay. And I did not pick these guys. This is not my doing. This is Gary and Randall, but they're girls players of the year. And Gary, you can take it away.
Okay. I know we go over the rankings of the state players of the year, but I think you leave out a lot of deserving kids. And I remember from, when I was coaching, we always had a conference player of the year, conference coach of the year, along with the all conference teams. So I thought it would be interesting to do that again. So some more people get recognition. we don't. I want the public to understand that the coaches voted on Saturday when they had their conference meetings on Saturday. So the coaches didn't make these selections. From the girls' side, Randall and I did the girls this morning, and a lot of it has to do with who we've seen play and the record. So that's how we made our decisions. And so in the greater metro, which is Cabarrus and Iredell County, our player of the year is Christian Lewis Williams from Lake Norman, and her coach, Mackenzie Graham. At the Queen City level or Queen City Conference, player of the year is Ellie Stone, the kid.
Just a sophomore.
Yeah, she's had a great season at Mallet Creek. Does some of everything for them, kind of like Kristen Lewis Williams at Lake Norman, except younger. And then, of course, our coach of the year is North Mac, who's undefeated in the conference and lost only one game so far.
Lake Norman.
Yep. And then in the SOMAC, we had Anastasia Sinclair from South Mac. And the coach of the year would be Justin Clark from South Mac. He's replacing a legend.
Yes.
And Christy Mitchell. It's always tough when you replace a successful coach, especially when you weren't an assistant on that staff. And we think Justin did an outstanding job. Randall, you can go over the rest of them.
Yeah, for sure. I think Justin has done a great job, and Anastasia's played really well for South Mac. I think it's probably one of the surprises for us. Not a big surprise, but a surprise nonetheless. And the Southwestern for a player of the year, Cam Kitchen. She's been unbelievable. I think
shoot.
She can definitely shoot it. And coach of the year is Lauren Galvani, the daughter of Dwayne Lewis. I'm getting ready to say Rick Lewis. I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm super surprised. This team, they lost their best player in preseason. I don't know if the expectations were the highest for Independence, and they have put together a great season. Ended up winning the conference, and they're going to try to go for the clean sweep this week. In our private schools, we just had Samaya suffering on earlier. She's done a great job of leading that Cannon school this year. She plays hard on both ends and really competes. 15 points, 8 rebounds a game. And coach of the year, Kelvin Drakeford, Cannon undefeated right now in the conference.
They won like 31 straight conference games or something like that. I mean,
really putting together a special season. But like Samaya said earlier, they want to finish it off this year.
And one of the things that I kind of look at, and I talk to people about this in football season, I think we should always distinguish between who's the most talented player and who's the best player. The most talented may be the one that has all the measurables as far as, height, size, strength, speed, those type of things, and who all the big schools are recruiting because they see the potential. But I'm more or less concerned with who's the best player, who leads their team, who impacts their teams winning the most. And so that's how I differentiate between the best players.
I think I always think that winning matters, and
it definitely matters.
And especially when you get to this time of the year, you really find who puts their imprint on their team. So it makes it a little bit easier in that sense.
All right, let's flip it to the boys' side. Richard, take it away.
Well, in the greater metro 4A, I think the player of the year is it's also the best player in the league, and that's Langston Boyd. Cox Mill finished third. They had a lot of injuries, and he was injured earlier, but here's a player that averaged 20-plus points a game, 7.5 rebounds. He had 5 assists, and, 2 or 3 steals per game. So his cumulative average was like 37, so he tracked very well there. As far as coach of the year, hands down, Grant Hodges at Lake Norman has done a masterful job. He does have the senior Cole Calloway, but he has a very young team. He also starts 3 sophomores, which, very good. Trent Steinauer, Trey McKinnon, and Josh Yates. And he also has another freshman with the name of Nick that's going to be really, really good too. So, they have a young team. I think they're going to be a team of the future as well. In the Queen City 3A, 4A, Isaiah Evans, he's a national recruit. Looking at some of his stats, he charted over 40 on my cumulative average. Here's a young man that's averaging 25 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Pretty amazing stat line, and he's cracked 40 points three times on the road this year. And then Coach of the Year, is Brian Frazier, after losing 2 high major prospects last year in Jalen Curry and Daniel Sanford. I don't think anybody really had Chambers competing with North Mech for the conference regular season championship. He's done a masterful job there. In the South Mech 4A, this was a tough one. I went with Elijah Strong at Myers Park. And the reason for it, I think he's been the most consistent player on Myers Park this year. There's an argument that could be made, for Olympic with Cameron's had a really good year as well. You also have Sir Muhammad and Bishop Boswell. So that was a tough one right there. It could have gone to any of those 4, but I went with consistency and the senior leadership of Elijah Strong. And then in Coach of the Year, Jeff Bishop, Olympic last year went 10-11. They lost their top 4 scorers to graduation. So, they haven't had a lot of talent, and coming into this year, finishing 23-3 is pretty amazing, especially when no one expected Olympic to have any type of season like they're having this year. Moving to the Southwestern 4A, 5'11" senior Jordan Neville at East Mecklenburg is my player of the year. And again, I base this on the cumulative average and looking at basically he's had a great year, averaging right at 24 points a game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2.5 steals per game. So he cracked in about 33 on my cumulative average, which is really amazing. And then Coach of the Year, Mike King at Charlotte Catholic. He's done a great job this year. They won the regular season championship. And, they're led by 6'8" senior Patrick Tiven. But outside of that, no noticeable, collegiate players really on the roster that's like jumps out at you as like a D1 type prospect. Going over to the private schools in the area, I think the player of the year, and this could be a really a toss up between Jaden Mustaf, but I went with Austin Swartz because of his cumulative average. He's basically doing a lot of things. He's scoring, he's rebounding, and he has a lot of assists.
Man, averaging 8 assists a game. I mean, I'm just saying.
He's doing it. He's having a great year.
I think you guys are holding on. I think you guys are looking at Austin like last year before, little Austin, especially Randall, and penalizing him now for this Austin. Because I'm telling you,
I'm not penalizing Austin.
I don't get to pick this stuff anymore. But I'm telling you,
I'm not penalizing Austin. Austin's having a great year. You will get no fight from me in regards to Austin Swartz.
This guy's translating. I'm telling you, his game. Well,
in Langston, you are correct. Looking at his cumulative average, you look at his points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks. He's pushing right at 40, which is really really high. So. I think he's very well deserving of player of the year for the private school. The coach of the year, it was a toss up between Gaston Christian, Gabe Blair, who's turned that program around. And they're, I think, the number 3 seed in the 3A. 3A. But I went with, Joe Badgett because year in, year out, he does a remarkable job. He loses key pieces like Kate Tyson last year, and he lost a lot of people. He did, bring in Kamani and also Jaden Mustaf and Bryce Cash, but he's done a remarkable job as far as being probably one of the top teams in the state of North Carolina. I think they're a national.
I'm going to tell y'all, I don't normally talk about personal stuff, but I'm going to tell y'all a little personal story. I was lucky enough, in my opinion, I chose, is when you put your kid in private school, you can kind of choose where they go. I thought Brian Field was the best coach around for what I needed for my kid when my older son was in high school. And I had a phenomenal experience with Brian Field. He's a wonderful coach. Everything, just if you wanted the perfect coach to coach your kid in high school, he was it. He could exit and know it. He could be the father away from home. He had all the coaching connections, and he's just a good dude. Did not have a good experience after Brian Field left. It went completely sideways. So we looked for a new school, found Coach Badgett, and I feel like I got Brian Field 2.0 on Coach Badgett, at least for my kid. I'm not talking about anybody else's kid. I think the way Joe coaches relates to the kids, his connections, I just think it's a really good fit over there at Carmel Christian. I've been really, just as a parent, been really impressed with what they have going on over there.
Well, in addition to that, he's also Mr. GQ on the sideline.
That's what Alex always says.
But more importantly, and we mentioned this earlier, talking about educators being also role models.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that really has impressed me about Joe in all these years, I think in all the years coaching, he's had one technical foul. Rarely on the sidelines do you see Joe ever getting upset at the officials.
He doesn't say anything. He just sits there. It's like Dinkins. He doesn't say anything.
Cool, calm, and collect. And I think basically that type of bench behavior should be rewarded. And that's the reason why also he's Coach of the Year.
All right. Well, those are Rick's picks for Boys All Conference Awards. And we're going to find out who Randall picked for his Players of the Week on Randall's Rock Stars, and we get a visit from who?
Samantha Sheehan this week from Lake Norman.
All right.
And welcome back. We are here for another week. Randall's Rock Stars. We're going to find out who, on the ladies' side, who had a great week. And we are going to start off first and foremost with Betsy Burnett of South Meck. The senior had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals versus Barry. And then Tuesday, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals versus RG Kell on Friday. Next up on our list was our rock star from last week, Rihanna Minyard from West Cabarrus. She led her team to a 61-50 win over Huff with 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists and 5 steals. Next, Ella Chappelle from Marvin Ridge. She had 23 points, 11 rebounds for the Marvin Ridge team as they won 53-39 against Weddington. And next up on the list, Amanda Sakoto from Cupperson. Amanda had 27 points and 15 rebounds in her team's victory versus Sun Valley. And last but not least, my rock star of the week, Miss Sam Sheehan from the Lake Norman Wildcats. Sam, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great.
Well, Sam, obviously you had a great Friday night, 30 points, 6 made threes, a great night offensively. But I want to talk to you really about, your undefeated season so far.
You want me to elaborate on the season?
How has the season been going so far for you guys? Obviously, you're undefeated. What's it like being a sophomore on an undefeated basketball team?
I think the season has obviously went very well. I think as a team, everyone's worked extremely hard to get where we wanted to, and I think it's mainly because outside of practice, everyone's training, everyone's conditioning, everyone's weightlifting. I think everyone's putting in a lot of work, and I'm really excited for this to be my sophomore year because I wasn't really believing that I was gonna I don't know how to put it in words, but I think I did more than I thought I was going to be able to this year.
Okay, because last year as a freshman, you didn't play as much, and it's something that obviously you're not used to. So has that been the biggest difference for you this year is you didn't play a lot as a freshman, and you came in as a sophomore not really knowing your role and how everything was going to be, and then boom, you're in the starting lineup, you're playing a ton of minutes, and your team's really dependent on you?
Exactly, yeah. I didn't expect it because I think this last year is just a way different season for me and for everyone than this year. So
Gotcha. All right, my last question before I let you go. Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi?
Diana Taurasi.
I love it.
Because I love it when she just dribbles the ball down the court and does a quick stop shoot.
The little pickup jumper that she does. Yes, ma'am. All right, Sam. Yeah. Well, good luck in the playoff next week and good luck the rest of the way. And hopefully we'll see you guys make a nice little run here in the final few weeks of the season.
Thank you for having me.
And if you want to be one of Randall's rock stars, make sure to reach out to me on Instagram and Twitter at @the1RC. We'll see you next week.
So, Randall, do you think there's any way that Lake Norman doesn't have a nice little run?
No, I don't think so, man. It's just that's a well-oiled machine.
They shoot the ball like crazy. They defend like
crazy. Ball like crazy.
You know who they're like, Coach? You know who they're like? Not to interrupt you, Randall, but you know who they're like, Coach Rick? They play a lot like Central Cabarrus. They press you out, they share the ball, and they shoot the mess out of it. That's not the word I want to use, bro.
They got shooters that shoot. They got defenders that defend. They got rebounders that rebound. I mean,
they got the best closer in the area.
Yeah. Yes. They
got they got the closer. You know who's going to finish?
Player. They got the best.
They got to finish it. They got to finish it. All right, let's talk about private school boys playoffs. 1A. Anything jump out at you on the top side of 1A, Richard?
I couldn't see it here, so I went ahead and printed it out.
Okay.
So anyway, in the 1A, it's going to come down to two teams. It's going to come down to United Faith at 29-2 and Northside Christian at 19-14. And it's really a top-heavy 1A. I want to say one thing about the 1A. Both of the coaches there are first-year head coaches. You know, you have Darian Holloway at United Faith and Ed Cook at Northside Christian. Don't be fooled by Northside Christian's record. They played a very difficult schedule, but on paper, United Faith has too much talent, in my opinion. At the 2A, it's going to come down to the Burlington School at 19-15 versus Wayne Country Day at 27-6. These are the cream of the crop in the 2A, and these are also both first-year coaches at that school, George Marshall and Jeff Davis at Wayne Country Day. I think those are the two favorites in the 2A. The 3A gets a little bit more competitive.
Hold on, I can't even get through all these 2A schools. Good God, there's a lot of 2A schools. Like,
I just got right down to the two teams that should be in it.
All right, here we go to 3A. Top bracket of 3A.
3A, Concord Academy at 29-6. They will have a tough game in the semifinals against Asheville School, but Concord Academy.
Darren Sheeran, is that his name? The point guard.
Darren Sheeran, yeah,
he's good.
Asheville School has a very tall team. They got a lot of the European players on the team, but I do think Concord Academy just has too much quickness and athleticism.
Rick, I got to ask you though, because Asheville is going to play South Lake and Asheville Christian have won 17 games between them and lost 43. One of those teams is going to advance, and then Calvary Days at 21-9. I asked the same question about the girls' side. Are there too many teams with losing records getting into these private school playoffs?
I think so, but I think part of the format in the NCIS, I think everybody that plays in a conference gets invited to the.
I think they ought to combine the two of the lower classes together, like the public schools do, a 1A, 2A, and make it more of a reward to kind of get to the playoffs. Because some of these teams have to drive a long way to get blown out, and it's like you're going to get blown out, and I'm sure like once every 2,000 games something crazy happens, but you're going to get blown out.
Well, in the 3A, the other intriguing matchup you're going to have, and probably in the semifinals, in my opinion,
looking at it right now,
is going to be Greensboro Day with Freddie Johnson, the winningest coach of all time in North Carolina, going up against Gaston Christian, which is an upstart program, and you got really first-year head coach Gabe Blair. He's done a remarkable job over at Gaston Christian. This is going to be a toss-up, in my opinion. Greensboro Day, they sort of hit a snag late in the season. And I think for the most part, Gaston Christian has been playing pretty well. They did lose to Concord Academy for the conference championship, but they had already beaten them twice during the regular season. So that would be the biggest toss-up there as far as in the 3A.
But tell me about the big boys.
The big boys, Carmel 26-4. I think they will go up in the semifinals against Raven Gap, another team from they're actually from Georgia, but they're sort of like Asheville School. They've beaten Asheville School. They've also beaten Christ School. They're very big. If I'm not mistaken, did not Christ School go up to Ravens Gap this year?
I'm not sure. Raven Gap played Carmel earlier this year, but I'm not sure about Christ School.
Yeah, I'm talking about Raven Gap.
Raven Gap played Carmel earlier this year, yes.
Okay, yeah, they're not a bad team. They're going to be. They got a lot of those European players. They're a little bit more mechanical.
Mhm.
I just think the backcourt between Kamani, Bryce, and Jaden, the defensive pressure of those three is going to be way too much for them to handle. I do think Carmel's going to be in this championship game. I think that the team that's going to be over there is the intriguing matchup. Probably you got Cannon, which I think Cannon is 28-6 going up against Christ School, which is 28-4. I think they have a little better record. But I don't think the Christ School has played the competition of Cannon. And I think playing against the tough competition that Cannon on a day-to-day basis, especially in the playoffs, I think they're going to be more used to the situation and the environment than Christ School. So I'm anticipating a Carmel Cannon rematch part 3.
Oh my goodness. That could be a pretty good game. Randall, hearing that, what do you think?
I think I got an upset happening in semis. I got Providence Day beating Raven Gap. So, that'll set up that matchup. But I like your final of Carmel Cannon part 3, and it should be interesting, especially at a neutral site.
All right.
I will say one thing about Providence Day. Providence Day has sort of come on late. They had a lot of attrition during the season and lost 2 players, but they seem to be finding their groove a little bit. So you might be right, Randall, about Providence Day.
All right. Well, there's Rick's picks for the NCISA Boys Championship games. We'll see if that happens in Forsyth Country Day a week from Saturday. It should be some good basketball. All right. Now we're going to look at the public school previews. And Rick had some games. Hold on before I call up the brackets. Rick had a couple games that caught his eye. His key first round games, and Rick will let you talk about those.
I think the most important game that I see on this list is the Queen City 3A 4A matchup between Hopewell, who's 13-10, going up against West Charlotte, who's 11-12. Hopewell's, if you look at their strength of schedule, they have one of the highest strength of schedules in the state, and they've always been ranked pretty high in Max Prep. They still are very young. They got a young backcourt. I think they have 3 juniors in the backcourt. For West Charlotte, they're the defending 3A state champion. I think it's important for West Charlotte to gain some momentum going into the 3A state playoffs. I think that's going to be an intriguing matchup there. The other one is, I think that I really like is a team that could really sneak up. You have Providence. They had a huge turnaround. They're 10-12 this year. Last year, they only won 4 games and 1 game in conference play, and they also beat East Meck this last week. They're going up against Independence. And anytime you go up against Independence with Preston Davis, they already beat East Meck during the season as well. But they're a tough team on any one game, and you can't afford to have a bad game against one of these 2 teams. Whoever wins that game could be a dangerous team in the next round. So that's the other game that I want to really look at. And I think the other one, West Cabarrus and Mooresville, could be an intriguing matchup. The winner of that game, both of them have had a pretty good season. The Greater Metro, the top 4 or 5 is really, really good. The winner of that game gets the luxury of playing Lake Norman in the semifinals.
Gary, now we talked earlier about, is anybody really paying attention to Friday? Now, Richard is the guru. He looked through a gazillion games, and he only could come up with 4 that mattered in the first round. I'm just saying.
So, yeah, Hopewell and West Charlotte, I think that'll be a good one for playoff seeding. They're both flawed, obviously. Hopewell doesn't have any height, and West Charlotte is...
That's some heck of a guard play, though.
Yeah. And then West Charlotte is fighting, the idea people think you're supposed to repeat, but it's a different team. But that team is carrying the weight of last year's team. And
well, I also think West Charlotte, the speed limit's about to slow down for West Charlotte.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's you got to consider that as they move on through the playoffs. But here are the brackets. we can't go through everybody's bracket, but there's the Queen City. Everybody's looking forward to a potential North Mech Chambers 3. Randall, is there anybody's going to get in the way of that on the way?
No.
So we're definitely getting Chambers North Mech 3. Now there's a SoMech. If I'm scrolling too fast, you guys get like whiplash. Tell me, but is anybody going to stop Myers Park Olympic 3?
No.
Audrey Kell might have something to say about that.
Audrey Kell
Next. No. Next.
Randall says no.
Audrey Kell beat Olympic.
All right.
Yeah. That's because that was the perfect trap game for Audrey Kell. Congratulations. Good win. No.
That's
no one's going to stop it unless the fans do.
Oh, here we go. Here's the Southwestern for you. I know that Randall thinks this could be a really competitive Thursday semifinal. What semifinal matchups do you think will happen on Thursday, Randall?
I mean, you get Providence or Indy versus Catholic. That'll be a good one. If you get Butler versus East Mech again, that'll be a good one. Like, this is the conference where, Thursday could be interesting just depending on matchups.
Who's getting to the championship game?
I'm going Catholic East Mech, part 3.
East Mech, part 3. That could be interesting. And Cam, we're going to get down to your conference, the Greater Metro. What do you see here? I know they played tonight, so it's kind of hard. I don't know who won. So
Yeah, I think it's Lake Norman's to lose. Mooresville, hold on one second. I've actually got the game pulled up. Mooresville is up by 3, it appears, with 2:51 to go, 48-45 on West Cabarrus right now. So I still think it's Lake Norman's to lose, but West Cabarrus might give them a little bit of trouble. I don't see Cox Mill. I see Cox Mill probably getting to the championship game, but I don't think they'll beat Lake Norman.
Lake Norman's really, really big. Rick, I know we were hunting in Southern Carolina. We finally got it. They started playing tonight, but what do you think here could happen?
I
don't know if you can see that either.
It's really hard for me to see that one.
Okay. But everybody's kind of bunched up all together. I mean, Piedmont has the best record at 18-6. They're having one of the best seasons they've had in a long time. They got a kid, Miles Leaks, is leading them to having a phenomenal season for them. They have a bye in the first round. They're going to play the winner of Marvin Ridge, Porter Ridge, the two teams right around 500. The other game is going to be Culberson at 5-19 tonight, playing Sun Valley, which is 12-11. That game started at 7:30, so it should be ending right about now. They'll play Weddington. If I was guessing, Randall, I'm looking at a Weddington Piedmont final. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, unless there's a surprise, that's probably chalk.
Yeah, and I think Piedmont could, go ahead and win out. And then the Northwestern 4A real quick, your Freedom looking real good. I know Rick's been real high on Amari Connolly. I think they're going to get to the finals probably against an Alexander Central. And I'm kind of looking, Gary talked about 1, 2, and all these things. And as you kind of look through it and you start trying to look at it, it's hard to think that it won't be 1, 2. Down in Gastonia, we got a really competitive conference there. But South Point's having a phenomenal year, 21-3. Crest has been coming on a lot. Rick has had Crest kind of on the bubble of the Sweet 16 in a couple of weeks. So I think, those two teams to watch down there. And I think once they get into the playoffs and get away from each other, those two teams can make some noise in the 3A class. And I'll stop here, guys. There's so many conferences, but the South Piedmont 3A is going to be a real competitive. There's not a team that kind of jumps off the page. Concourse having a kind of resplendent year. They're going to be good, but I don't think anybody's going to beat Central Cabarrus. I think that, you can do or say what you want to, but I think Central Cabarrus is going to come out of that thing 26-0 and go into the
semis already set in that conference.
Yeah, they got a matchup coming up, I think, with West Charlotte, and then the winner of that's going to play Northwood, and I think the 3A could be kind of fun.
The 3A state championship will be Central Cabarrus and Northwood.
There you have it, right there from the Guru.
Concord plays Carson tomorrow, and Northwest won today, and they play Central tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. There you have it. All right, Rick. Let's tell us who's on your list for Mr. Basketball as we cut it to 8.
The one thing that jumps out about this list right here is 7 of the 8 players are juniors. The only one that's a senior is Josh Short from Farmville Central, having a great year. He signed with the University of New Orleans.
Mustafa's a junior.
Huh?
You said only senior?
Everybody on this list is juniors except.
Oh yes, yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, correct.
Yeah, and the one criteria I used for this was basically name one player that could absolutely carry a team to a state championship. And you look at Drake Powell at Northwood, the most, probably in my opinion, the most complete player in the state of North Carolina, has already committed to UNC. Jaden Newstoff is just, to me, one of the best on-ball defenders in the state, and he's just a winner. We've already talked about Isaiah Evans. Jaden Juke Harris at Salisbury. They're like 18-5. They've played a tough schedule. They've been a lot of our events, and the coach wanted to play some tougher teams to prepare them for the state. So look out for Salisbury in the 2A West. And of course, we've mentioned Austin Swartz earlier. Jaron Stevenson's that's a unique one. He was probably a bubble for me. Now he's a 4 or 5 star prospect. The thing with Jaron is he's one of the most unselfish players in the state. But I did want to give him credit for one thing. There's been a lot of tug and pull for like, why is Jaron Stevenson playing at Seaford, which is a new school?
Yeah.
You know, his dad's a coach there, so I think it's pretty neat that a player of his caliber is really humble and sticking to his guns, is playing, you know, for a average high school team. As a matter of fact, the team that I have to win the 1A state is Chatham Charter. They beat them this last weekend. We've talked about Paul McNeil in the past. I think he was a Gatorade Player of the Year. He transferred to Prolific Prep, came back, and since he's been back at Richmond, they've gone undefeated. So they're like 17-2. So I think Mr. Basketball watch list, every one of these guys has a chance to lead their team to a state championship.
Yeah, Alex, Rick kind of touched on something right there. He talked about the Chatham Charter being a favorite in 1A. The charter schools seem to really be dominating those lower classes. I know part of that, the legislature versus the state association battle we saw over the last 18 months was a lot about that. Do you think that we're handling that correctly, or should the charter schools be in their own division?
Charter schools, per the North Carolina High School Athletic Association bylaws, fall under the umbrella of public schools or non-boarding parochial day schools and are due the rights, opportunities, and benefits of full membership in the North Carolina High School Athletic Association as prescribed right now.
I didn't ask, did they belong in the association? I said they belong in their own classification.
The North Carolina High School Athletic Association, per its bylaws, is restricted to 4 classifications as things stand right now. If anyone would like to go to additional classifications, put an amendment on the table and pass it and make it happen. So as things stand right now, should charter schools be included in classifications as they're structured and compete accordingly with like-sized schools? Absolutely, yes, they should.
So they shouldn't have to play upper class, you don't think?
Absolutely not.
Because they used to do that with some of the parochial schools.
Absolutely not.
And
no, the North Carolina High School Athletic Association never mandated that. Parochial schools, particularly Cardinal Gibbons High School, to which I can speak specifically, having been an athletic administrator there when that decision was made. Cardinal Gibbons, for years, has requested to play in a higher classification. That speaks very highly of the school and its desire to cultivate its program on multiple levels, including the development and proliferation of natural rivalries with Raleigh schools, many of whom were founded around the same time as Cardinal Gibbons, or when Cardinal Gibbons assumed the name Cardinal Gibbons, which was in the 1960s. So those are natural rivalries, and building those natural rivalries really is a testament to Cardinal Gibbons recognizing its place in the city of Raleigh and looking to do what is best for high school athletics across the board. So, I mean, that's
they're also doing what's best for their bottom line, because if they're playing schools in Raleigh, they're going to make more money playing 3A schools out in the hinterland somewhere. Let's just be honest.
Well, but the other thing you have to consider there is the reality that when the cultivation of competitive opportunities transcends football and basketball. I think it's important that we recognize that schools have to be in positions when you're talking about full-fledged athletics programs.
Alex.
No, we're going to get this right. We're not going to turn this into a battle against non-boarding parochial.
No. I'm not doing that. Gary, if you can play schools in your backyard where mom and dad going to come versus going to play schools in Hickory or mom and dad not going to come, which one you going to do?
You're going to play local schools because you need the revenue.
That's all I'm saying, Alex. That's all I'm saying.
No one makes substantial revenue beyond football and basketball. No one does.
I'm going to make a lot more when I'm playing Raleigh Millbrook and Raleigh Ravens, the Raleigh schools versus,
Well, you really have to keep in mind the
Who's out there,
dynamic
Lance?
in Raleigh-Wake County is a little different from Charlotte-Mecklenburg County in terms of even elite level football, because the competitive parity across the board is a higher level in Charlotte-Mecklenburg County. Nobody is going to dispute that. Even though Cardinal Gibbons has won a state championship in football, but no one is going to dispute.
They won a home game.
That was not a home game. No, but no one is going to dispute that the competitive parity
He's so easy.
Is a higher level in Charlotte Mecklenburg football and basketball. Right. So it's a different dynamic in terms of even those two sports as revenue generators. Once we get past football and basketball, there's no revenue to be had for anybody.
Yeah, but if I'm not playing Raleigh schools with football and basketball, I'm not making as much revenue as if I was playing outside. That's all I'm saying. You can disagree, but I think I'm correct on this one. Here's Rick's picks.
And welcome back. I'm Randall Clark. I'm here with the guru, Mr. Rick Lewis, and we are here for another week of Rick's picks. Coach Lewis, who we got this week?
Well, first off, we have 6'6" senior Rashad McCormick, and what a better way to end senior night than having a double-double of 19 points, 10 rebounds, and a 51-50 overtime, not overtime, but double overtime win over rival Hopewell. Huff finished 16-8 for the season, 7-5 in conference play, and a number 3 seed in the Queen City Conference tournament. Next up, we have Caden Caskey of Audrey Kell. The one thing about Audrey Kell is they needed another player to step up this year outside of Brock Rose. Caskey had 19 points in the upset win Tuesday on Olympic and followed up with 26 points Friday night versus Berry. And it enabled Audrey Kell to finish with a 9-3 conference record. And I think a lot of people coming into the season probably didn't really understand what kind of season Audrey Kell would have. And I think Caden Caskey is going to be that third person that will help Audrey Kell maybe have a nice little playoff run. Next up is 6'8" senior Avion Penner of Concord Academy. This was a great win for Concord Academy because they needed it to establish some momentum going into the NCIS AA state playoffs. He had 12 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists in the Metrolina Athletic Conference championship game versus Gaston Christian. This was important because Gaston Christian had swept Concord Academy during the regular season. Next up, we have 6'5" Clayton Gaither of Providence. He's a Roanoke commit. He had 25 points, going 8 of 12 from the floor, 6 of 6 from the free throw line in the upset win over East Meck. Sort of knocked East Meck out of being in contention for the regular season conference championship. But more importantly, the one thing that's important with Clayton and also Providence this year, Providence went 10-12 in the regular season, 6-6 in conference play. Last year, they only won 4 regular season games in 1 conference game. So a big turnaround for Providence, and Clayton Gaither was instrumental in that turnaround. And last but not least, we have 6'7" super, just super junior in Isaiah Evans. The one thing about Isaiah, he had 40 points, 7 rebounds Tuesday, 41 points, 10 rebounds Friday at West Charlotte. But more importantly, both these performances was on the road. So, and also, you look at what he's done, the 40-plus games always come on the road. Chambers, Hopewell, and West Charlotte.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing we definitely know for sure watching him this season and prior to is he can put the ball in the basket. Isaiah, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good. Well, Isaiah, obviously you had a big week. You said, was it 41 versus Hopewell?
Yeah, it was 41 versus Hopewell.
41 versus Hopewell, 40 versus West Charlotte, and your team needed every one of them. Just tell us a little bit about, going into games like that, hostile environments on the road. What is your mentality kind of as the jump ball, tips off?
I mean, I just been trying to get to the basket. Like, I had problems with just shooting too many jumpers. And then, my coaches and everybody gets on me like you 6'7", bro. You shouldn't be shooting 10 threes a game. I mean, they don't say that, but literally, like, I don't have to. You know, I could
Right, for sure.
get to my spot and just make it so much easier for myself. So that comes, you know what I'm saying? Like I think I shot 10 free throws versus Hopewell, but then I shot 20 versus West Charlotte. So just getting to the free throw line is just key for me and getting my team going.
Isaiah, in a game Friday night against West Charlotte, you guys were down big in the first quarter and still trailed at halftime. What was your mindset going into the second half? And what did Coach Dwayne Lewis tell you guys at halftime?
My mindset was just a new game. Like, it's a whole new game. Like, it's a new half. The first half doesn't matter anymore. It already happened. Don't worry about it. Like, just play our game. And we already made a comeback. You know, we was down. I don't want to over exaggerate it, but I'm pretty sure after the first quarter, I looked up at the scoreboard and we was down 20. So
it was 22. It was 22-4.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh man, like this ain't never. We ain't never. I mean, we've been down before, but it's never been that bad, especially that early. So yeah, going to halftime, I was just like, new game. You know what I'm saying? The guys, we weren't really too shook enough about it. We've been down before. But Coach, he was just like, I mean, we knew they were going to come out punching. It's their senior night. It's at home, and that's at West Charlotte. You know, they always going to play hard for their home crowd. So he was just like, come out, do what you're supposed to do. Stop taking so many jump shots and keep getting to the basket. Every time we get to the basket, it's something good. Every time we swinging the ball, it's something good. Stop taking quick shots. So stuff like that.
Isaiah, you guys are on track that you could possibly play Chambers again for the conference championship. But the unique thing about the Chambers North Mech rivalry, like for this year, you guys went to Chambers and beat them on the road. And then they came at North Mech and beat you guys on the road. So this is going to be at a neutral site. So what's the outcome going to be for the conference championship?
I mean, you know, obviously we want to win. We want to win everything. Any championship we can get, you know, we're going after it. You know, obviously I think my team's gonna come out on top. They might think otherwise. You know, it's gonna be a good game. I'm pretty sure they're gonna play hard. I know my guys gonna play hard. So we're gonna see what the outcome is Friday.
One more thing, Isaiah. Cameron Williams, also talking preps, has nicknamed you the Slim Reaper. Let me ask you this. Who do you model your game after? And if you look at anybody, whether it's college or the NBA, who does your game remind you of?
Well, the first question, who I model my game after, I just really, when I go into the gym, I just try and find things that I need to work on, just me personally, before I try and mimic someone else's game. But watching myself, but I like one dude told me that I play like Tracy McGrady. Like, I'm kind of taller. I can bring the ball up the court, stuff like that. So I like that comparison. But then, you know, a lot of people in the Carolina area say I play like Brandon Ingram, and I like that comparison too.
Well, I think when Cam called you Slim Reaper, I think he sees more Kevin Durant in you, and that's where that nickname came from.
I mean, I got put in a lot more work to play like that dude. That dude's crazy.
Yeah. Isaiah, your favorite collegiate school is Duke, correct?
Nah, man, I don't got no favorite team right.
When we getting that commitment to become a Blue Devil, Isaiah?
Man, y'all gotta take baby steps. I ain't even got to offer yet. Like, I gotta offer first. But
hey, well, let me ask you this: if Duke does offer, how quick will you commit?
I mean, Duke offering, obviously another blue blood offering me would be great for my recruitment, but I'm gonna still take my decision at the same pace as if they didn't offer.
I like it. My last question for you: Jason Tatum or Brandon Ingram?
Who's better, or like
who are you taking? You got to pick one. Who you taking? Brandon Ingram, Jason Tatum?
Oh, if it's like a 1v1, they going at each other. I gotta take Jason Tatum. He too strong.
I like it. Well, Isaiah, man, I appreciate you for being on the show today. Great job this season. It's been very fun watching you, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
And if you would like to be one of Coach Rick's picks feel free to reach out to him on social media at Coach_Rick57. I'm Randall Clark. He's the guru. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay, and here we are with Randall Clark and Gary Richmond. So we know what that means. Take it away, Langston. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a decision here. Randall already won something tonight, so Gary's going to go first. Yes, I said it. Randall won the game show. All right, so let's go. We got it out of our system, but Gary's going to go first since Randall already won something. All right, so Coach Richmond, 2 national polls and 2 championships. We have the state schools that are in state associations and schools that are not in state associations, but all in one national poll right now. Should we go to 2 polls to differentiate between schools in a state association and schools not in a state association?
Yes, I think you should, simply because most state associations have like rules, regardless of the state. And the non-associations, there's a vast difference from non-association to non-association, mainly dealing with reclassification and those type of rules and recruiting. So I think there should be 2 polls. I think you can call one that plays by the rules and one that got a whole bunch of handlers. I just think it's just too much difference between the implementation of things outside of basketball, between non-association schools and public schools.
All right, Randall, we can tell you're waiting. Go for it.
No. Why? Basketball is basketball. It's making all these rules according to ages and grade. It doesn't matter. High school basketball is high school basketball, non-association or association. It doesn't matter, because if you put two polls together, nobody's really going to care about either one of them. They just want to know who are the top 5 teams, who are the top 20 teams, who are the top 25 teams in the country. After that, no one really cares. So no, just leave it how it is, and we'll go from there.
I guess the lingering question there before we move on is Coach Richmond said we got one set of rules over here with the state association schools and another set of rules for everyone else. Oh, I didn't realize that the non-state association schools actually had any rules. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that? All right, next question. Okay, the North Carolina Independent Schools Athletic Association has put boys and girls state finals at different sites. We all know that the North Carolina High School Athletic Association plays boys and girls finals in a classification at the same site. Should the NCHSAA follow what the NCISAA has done and put boys and girls finals at different sites? Randall, you go first.
No, everybody should play at the same site, because the fact of the matter is that most people outside of friends and family are gonna want to see the boys. I don't think it's fair for the girls. I think they deserve to have fans. I think they deserve to have a student section. They deserve to have the same treatment as the boys. If you separate them and give them different sites, there's a chance that might not happen, and that's not fair to them.
Gary?
I think they should be separate. They're fans of girls basketball separate from boys basketball. If for me, a lot of times I leave after the girls' game. I don't want to see the boys because they all play the same style. They all think they can shoot threes, and the shot selection is not as good as you find in girls' games. But I think if you have 1, 2, 3, and 4A in one site and the same for the boys, I think you will get a larger fan base. People are going to leave after their school plays anyway, especially if their school lost. So You know, I think by having them at different sites, you can have, fans of all the boys at one place and fans of girls all at another place. I like the idea of separating it just for the state championships. Not for regular season. I don't like separating it, but for the state championships, because you're looking at the best of the best at every level, and I think people want to see the best.
And before we move on, I'll add that here we are in February during Black History Month, and for many years had to fight against the fallacy of the separate but equal doctrine, and separate is inherently unequal. Next question. For years, basketball was the number one high school sport in Charlotte. Has football caught up? Will it catch up? Where do we stand right now? Gary, start us off.
Football has passed basketball in the state of North Carolina with everyone except the state association. Okay, we're still dominated by basketball train of thought with the state association. But as far as fan interest, football has passed basketball at every level, professional, college, and high school. I think and even in North Carolina, I think football has passed basketball. And a lot of that has to do with the Carolina Panthers and the fact that a lot of those players have stayed in the area and they filter down as trainers at beginning at the little leagues and working their way up. And if you look and see how many kids get football scholarships out of the mainly in Charlotte, but other places as well, you'll see that football has really caught up to basketball. I think you get more Division I football players out of Charlotte than you do basketball.
Gary, stop it. What is the state of North Carolina is called the Hoop State for a reason.
It's because of three teams.
You started talking about the Panthers. The Panthers aren't any good right now, so I'm not listening to that. Carolina and Duke are always going to be Carolina and Duke. That's going to trump anything at the college level. And you talk about going to college in the class of 24, the top 10 players in the state are all going to go play high Division I college basketball somewhere. So no, the state of North Carolina is the hoop state. It's always going to be the hoop state, and it's going to take a lot more work for football in order to change that.
I want everyone to mark down this moment right here and what I'm about to say. Praise be Randall Clark. This is the hoop state, and basketball is the number one sport in this state, as evidenced by the fact that the class of 2024 on the boys and girls side has the opportunity to be the best that the state has ever seen. Basketball will be the number one sport because it creates opportunities to achieve at the highest level in high school and college for the boys and girls of North Carolina. Praise be basketball as our sport.
Look at the numbers of.
That's because you got 53 players in football. Obviously, I mean that's not an argument.
Look at the rate of growth as far as where football was to where it is.
A 53-man roster compared to a 12-man roster, Gary. We can do the math.
I know that. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the percentage of participation, how it's increased versus decreased. Volleyball is taking a lot away from girls basketball.
I got what you're saying there. That's true.
It's taking a lot away.
Girls basketball is declining at a rapid pace in North Carolina. We wrote a big story about it back in the fall. The numbers are really falling off. I don't know. Girls don't like the girls I interviewed said they did not like the physicality of the game. They like volleyball because the other person was on the other side of the net. I didn't have to bump into them. And I'm not saying that's about every girl, but I did talk to about 50, and that was a pretty prevalent comment. Rick, I want to take you back to this question we asked about boys and girls state finals. The association of public schools normally will do 2 boys and 2 girls at state, 2 boys and 2 girls at Chapel Hill. This year, the private schools are putting the girls at Calvary Day, the boys at Forsyth Country Day. Do you like the private school format, or do you like the public school format, and why?
I like the private school format. And I think I agree with Gary, that you have a different fan base for the girls than you do the boys. And for example, for us covering it, you could have someone covering all the boys games, at one site, and then if you had somebody else, they could just stay at the other site to cover the girl side.
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead, Alex.
Separate is inherently unequal. The separate but equal doctrine was a fallacy of American history, and we bring that up during Black History Month. Treating young ladies as second-class citizens is absolutely unacceptable.
Why? But why?
If you're creating a so-called championship,
I know what Alex is thinking.
Why do you treat them like second-class citizens?
Well, the NCAA started that last year. When they had the bubble.
That was an issue.
Yeah, but they didn't take care of the girls the way they should have. I'm not saying that.
And that's separate but equal.
But Q Tucker would put them in Chapel Hill and State, and they would get all the same stuff. They would just be girls in one place and boys in another. We're not saying that the girls are going to get less than the boys do.
Well, why in the world are we separating them whatsoever? The fact that we have to resort to separation akin to what we saw throughout much of United States history that proliferated the subjugation of marginalized communities for decades on end is something that will be repeated in this case. Why do we have to separate what is supposed to be a shared championship experience?
The private
and that in and of itself proliferates separate as inherently unequal.
The private schools have to separate because they have 8 state championship games. They can't play 8 state championship games in one place. So they could do 4 and 4, with which they've done. They used to 3 and 3. Maybe they could do that, or maybe play some on Friday night. But I think they had to split them up somehow. I'm not saying this is the right way.
Do the boys and the girls at the same place.
I hear the argument.
Whatever classification.
I hear the argument that Randall makes a lot from girls coaches that we deserve to play in front of fans. But then I also hear people say, but those fans aren't coming to see you. And if you look at a lot of girls' games that are packed, a lot of times they're not paying attention to the game because they're waiting on North Macon Chambers.
Nobody, that's fine. Nobody cares about that. People in the stands, people in the stands. Like
I think we also
they deserve to have people in the stands the same way the boys do.
I think we also see a higher degree
because listen, there have been games, Audrey Kell versus Myers Park a couple years ago, where the gym is completely packed for the girls' game, and as soon as the girls' game is over, everybody left, and the boys' game had less than 100 people in it.
Facts, yeah, I've seen that. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. I was just curious what you guys thought. I don't really have.
You could even if you had them at different locations, you could flip flop the time. So, for example, if you had the boys at one location, you could start the 1A, the 2A, 3A, 4A, and then at the other site with the girls, you could sort of flip it around. So if the fans who are watching the boys team, they could go over there and watch the girls if it's from the same school.
Yeah.
But
Gary, you coached girls for a long time. Is the issue that girls just aren't going to draw the crowd? Is that why the coaches have always wanted to play the boys the same place? Or is it something else?
Unless it's an outstanding girls program, and we talked about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
This year, and just in CMS, it's the top 2 in every conference, and then the bottom falls out.
Right.
It's not a situation where there's balance throughout like you find in boys. So, when you have great girls programs, they attract just like boys program. The problem is girls basketball doesn't have the depth that boys basketball does.
So you think it'd be fine in the state championship situation?
Yeah, in the state championship situation, it would be fine. But
so Alex is separate but equal would not be an issue for you.
Yeah, but if you're talking about, say, and I used this earlier, CMS, if you said on a Tuesday and a Friday, the girls play at one site and the boys play at another, I think you're going to run into a problem with attendance for girls. Because most of the time, the student body is going to choose to go see the boys' game.
I remember the last game before COVID took everything away. You remember this, Rick, where we were? The last game before COVID hit, we were in Hickory, and we watched North Mech was playing, I can't remember, in the Olympic. Yeah. They were playing Olympic.
Yeah, they were playing Olympic,
the regional championship game, and it was packed to the gills.
Right.
And then there was a girls' game coming right behind it, and I want to say it was Freedom maybe and somebody.
Yeah, it was Freedom and somebody.
And it got packed.
Yeah. well, that kind of
doesn't. I was like, where are these people?
That was a uniform team. That kind of doesn't count.
I was sitting beside Richard. I was sweating. He was sweating. I mean, it was packed in there. I mean, I'm just, And then I went over to Malik Creek, was playing at the community college, and there was the girls, and there was nobody there. But
it wasn't a uniform team.
There were maybe 20 people in the stands over there, but the association kind of anticipated that. They didn't play that game at Lenoir-Rhyne. They moved it. I don't know what the right answer is. I kind of like boys and girls at the two sites, so long as they get the same treatment. I kind of agree with Gary that the state championship games are going to draw. I've seen girls programs, the great McDowell programs. Mike Silver used to outdraw the boys every single night. When Barb was rolling at Myers Park, when they were really good, to Randall's point, Barb would get done playing and everybody would kind of cut out. They wanted to see, Mazik play and then they leave. So I've seen that. Providence Days girls were really good. I remember back, 20 years ago or 15 years ago, it was kind of the same thing. So I think I'd be okay. Cam, you hadn't said anything. What are your thoughts here before we go to Randall's final thoughts?
I think as long as the treatment is the same, like we mentioned, the whole NCAA debacle where, the girls got like a towel and a water bottle and the guys got everything under the sun. That's absurd. But as long as the treatment's equal, I don't think where it's at necessarily matters. I think having it at two sites kind of increases travel. And one thing we hadn't talked about is, what if parents have a girl playing and a boy playing? What if they have siblings?
Well, they would stagger that.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, the times aren't overlapping. But I get your point. But the association has always put two games. Not always, but recent years, two games on one site, two boys championships on one site, two girls on another site, or four actually. And the private schools have to kind of do the same thing because now they have 8 state championships just like the public schools do.
And so the North Carolina High School Athletic Association is sensitive to the reality that separate is inherently unequal. It's permeated American history for decades. And
how do you feel about women's college? Like the Chapel Hill Miami women didn't play the night before the Chapel Hill Miami men.
That's a
college is different. It's not even remotely the same. That's a whole other conversation. That's not even.
I don't get it. I think
completely different dynamic. Randall is correct.
The South Carolina women's program outdraws the South Carolina men's program. Did you see the game against LSU with 8?
Did I see it? Oh yeah. Randall knows.
I called that way before the game.
I'm saying.
Here's the thing. Each team that goes to the state championship, either male or female, is going to have its own support from the fans and community from that particular city. You talk about being separate. What's the difference in having a 1A and a 2A boys and girls at one site versus having 3A and 4A boys at another site? Aren't you making the 1A and 2A teams feel inferior to the 3A and the 4A teams?
Absolutely not.
Oh, how's it different? How's it different?
The same thing.
How's it different?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because what you have done is you have created, first off, let's take what the NCHSAA does. We're talking about 2 elite level venues, 2 ACC high quality, well maintained, well presented venues, which are comparable in terms of what they offer. You put the boys and the girls of the same classification in the same venue to compete for their respective championships, then you have leveled that playing field.
It's not like we're making somebody go to Chapel Hill and the other person playing in Duke.
What's the difference, though, guys? If I put the 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A girls in Raleigh and the 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A boys in Chapel Hill, they both get the same great facilities and they'll both get the same treatment. What's the difference?
No, they don't.
And the facilities are not equal because
no, they don't.
How do they not? Women's gym when you go to state. Yes. When you go to Carolina, you're playing in the men's gym. So you're not playing in equal facilities.
It is an unequal.
I like the state champions better
than playing in Carolina. It's 2 different atmospheres.
Yeah, Carolina's too big.
I was gonna say playing in Reynolds is good. I don't know why they don't play. I've never understood why we don't play one in Reynolds and one in Carmichael, but that's a whole nother argument.
I can tell you why, because I had that very conversation with Q, and we're on the same page, and she agrees with what we're saying in terms of the atmosphere. I think we all know that the parking differential at Carmichael relative to Reynolds is night and day,
Yeah.
and that would be a huge issue. But in terms of atmosphere, she agrees with what we're saying.
Carrie Sargent says
I
the
would-
Hickory site
I would
needs to be
rather play a high
eliminated
school-
anyway.
I would rather play a high school championship game at Reynolds than at the Smith Center because it's going
too.
to be a better atmosphere. It's
Me
not
too.
as big.
Yeah. Me too. I absolutely agree with that. One thing I do hope this year.
Oh, so are you guys saying we should just move one of them to Cameron?
Absolutely.
No, absolutely not.
They said they
Absolutely not. The
They
championship-
did, Randall. They did have a championship in Cameron, like way back. The Browns did as well, way back in the 90s.
Yes, 1996, the NCISA championships were at Cameron Indoor Stadium. The Ravenscroft girls won, and the
I was there. I have no idea who played.
The Greensboro Day boys beat David Carrier's Providence State team.
I was there. I have no idea who played.
Yes, the Ravenscroft girls won the championship. That girls team was coached by Ned Gannett, who just retired as Ravenscroft's football coach after 42 years this past year.
All right, so we're talking about state championship games. Kerry's talking about the regional championship games. He wants the Hickory site eliminated. They didn't use the Hickory site last year, but what happened in the regionals was North Meck and Weddington had to go to McDowell to play a regional championship game when Charlotte teams had tried to host it. I do not know who's hosting the regionals this year. A lot of people are looking forward to a potential Myers Park North Meck matchup. You could play that at Independence Arena and they would draw probably 10,000 people.
No question.
I hope somebody's forward thinking enough to you know.
Yeah, please, if those two teams play, do not have us have to travel 90 minutes, 2 hours to go see two Charlotte teams play. Please.
Cameron can put in a good word.
Absolutely right, though. Kerry, you right.
Cameron can put in a good word at UNC Charlotte. Maybe we can have it over there. I mean, it would draw 9,000 over there. I mean, that game would really be something special. They played.
You know, I think it's the opportunity to go back to UNCC. We did it there one year.
It was great.
And one of the schools messed up the locker room, and they said, "Don't come back."
Yep, I remember.
And we haven't been back since. Maybe with the new administration, and CMS
go back to
as well as UNCC.
But Gary, that is so short-sighted on that particular school because if you're a university like the University of Charlotte and you're hosting a tournament, that is one of the best things you can do for recruiting, getting quality teams and players to your campus playing in their arena. For them to do that and say, hey, just because someone messed up the locker room, they got enough money to fix it up, but they made a terrible mistake. They should have it back at that.
UNC Charlotte has an entirely different administration now than then. So
that's what happened. That's why.
That is absolutely what happened. But I think now, maybe Erica Turner and her group can go over there and talk to them. UNC Charlotte or Independence Arena, even Davidson, but one of those three sites I think would be great. Queens could be a great site. There's just a lot of places in Charlotte you could play the ball. I think
Charlotte would be great because it could hold a crowd and they have the parking.
Well, Independence Arena has the parking easy. Charlotte does too. Independence Arena has that big parking lot right out in front. It's really easy to get in and out. And I really think that game would draw 10,000 people.
Let me give Mike Hill a buzz.
What you say, Cameron?
So let me give Mike Hill a buzz.
Give Mike Hill a buzz. Get him on the line. All right, I'm getting heavy, and I'm making myself heavy because 1 hour and 45 minutes. I'm supposed to be done. Randall, we're gonna put you in the one shot. If I can make my cursor went away. I got my iPad beside me. My cursor's going over to my iPad. Let's see. I got to find Randall's final thoughts. Go ahead, sir.
This is my favorite time of year. Conference playoffs, state playoffs. This is when you really separate yourself. It's win or go home time. All I can say is that the game of basketball, young men and young ladies, is not a light switch. You can't turn your game on and off. You got to keep that light switch on for the rest of the season on both ends of the floor. I want to take this time to say good luck to everybody competed tonight and competing the rest of the season. Hopefully everyone has a great playoff run and we can stay as healthy as possible.
All right, there it is. Randall Clark. Well, guys, it's been a great show. That is Randall, the best trainer I know. That is Alex Bass, Mr. Contrarian. You heard him in full effect tonight. There is Richard Lewis, the #1 voice of high school basketball. Man, we are so lucky, Gary, in this show. We get Chris and Grice in football. We get Rick in basketball. And y'all Y'all just don't know. Cameron, we call him the guru in training, even though he's watching probably. Is Duke playing right now? Is that what you're looking at?
No, Duke plays your boy tomorrow.
Huh?
We got Trey tomorrow.
Your boy tomorrow.
Who are you watching so intently right now?
Carolina and Hubert Davis already.
You watching Carolina on replay? That's what you looking
No, I watched that game live.
I know you did. UNC lives rent free in Cameron's head. He's the biggest Duke fan in the world, but UNC lives rent free in his head. And there's I'm Langston. That's Gary, and we are Talking Preps.